Go.
Well, I think we're going
Hit
to
us
do
with
this
another
one
one, Daddy Pat.
with Christopher. That was a strange words that you just referred to me. This is the news story from last night. We're not going to play the news story, but I just think it's got some good numbers at the start of it. So we'll just play Golden Fox's introduction here to see what we're talking about. And just remember, in 2008, a fresh-faced John Key stood in the Cake Tin, the Wellington Stadium, and I've looked for this. I can't find this advert anywhere, but I've looked for it. And he looked around and he says, "This many people are leaving New Zealand every single year." Those were the days. Those were the days.
Tens of thousands of Kiwis packed their bags and jetted off to live overseas in 2024. According to the latest Stats NZ figures, there was a provisional net migration loss of just over 47,000.
So John Key was like, this many people are leaving. Now it's that many people are the difference between coming and going. So it's even that much huger.
New Zealand citizens last year, the most in a calendar year, and almost 4,000 more than 2023. It was driven by 72,000 migrant departures, more than offsetting the near 25,000 migrant arrivals. And based on the latest estimates, most crossed the ditch, moving to Australia. Overall, New Zealand still had a net migration gain of just over 27,000 last year, although this number is considerably down when compared to the gain of close to 130,000 at the end of 2023. Here's business correspondent Katie Bradford.
We're not going to listen to Katie. We're going to go and have a look at Mr. Luxon talking about it on breakfast. But there's lots of things about this. Like the people who are supporting 2/3 of this coalition, not by number, but by party, they don't like the fact that there's many, many more migrants coming, international migrants, non-born New Zealanders coming to live here. So this won't go well for them. Tomorrow night, we've got Simon Wilson on. He's done a good article today on the Luxon's slow walk to oblivion or something. We said this in the last couple of weeks that Luxon's losing support from the centre because people in the centre are being like, we didn't vote for this crazy shit. But they're also losing support from the further right because they're like, you're not Trumpian enough, to a point where this article, which we'll talk about tomorrow night, got tweeted out by a certain pile of melting pancake batter saying, I agree with you, Simon Wilson. So that's just evidence as to what we've been saying about the people on the far right are also being lost. Now, they're going to stay on the right, but they'll go to ACT or New Zealand First. So there will be a bun fight at the next election. So what we're going to do to start with, I'm just going to play you a very quick clip. It's only 35 seconds. And, you know, give Mr. Luxon his credit. I think he does accurately identify why so many New Zealanders are leaving New Zealand. Have a listen.
New Zealanders leaving at record levels. What do these numbers tell you about life in New Zealand right now?
Yeah, what's happened is net migration's actually come down from 128,000 down to just 27,000. So that's all the people coming into the country versus those that are leaving the country.
I'm going to beat this up a little bit. This is how he explains it. This is what he does 3 or 4 times. He explains the numbers 3 or 4 times, and it just feels like filibustering.
But you're right, within the New Zealand citizens, it's gone from about 43,000 under the last government to about 47,000 under our government. And, you know, that's historically kind of what happens when you get a recession and you get bad economic mismanagement.
Yes, Mr. Luxon. We agree with you. We agree with you, Mr. Luxon. That's what happens when you have bad economic mismanagement. Now, seeing you have been so bad at doing this, Mr. Luxon, do you have any solutions for your bad economic mismanagement? Let's have a listen again.
3,000 under the last government to about 47,000 under our government. And, you know, that's historically kind of what happens when you get a recession and you get bad economic mismanagement.
Yeah. So at least he's being honest. He's talking about their bad economic mismanagement, and he is giving the reasons as to why people are leaving. It's thanks to National's bad economic mismanagement. So, you know, Chewie, maybe we give credit when credit is due. At least he's now finally being honest about things. Anyway.
They've always been very good at identifying problems.
Yeah.
They nail it. They recognize them, they can identify them, and then they go all wibbly wobbly on what to do about them or who caused them.
Well, he didn't say it was Labor, so I'm assuming he's talking about National bad economic mismanagement.
I mean it's impressive, and some might say, dare say, honourable for him to admit.
Yeah, I think so too. So we're going to play you a couple of minutes from this conversation later on, because they do their normal toing and froing, and he's not particularly useful in giving answers, but then Jenny May asks him a question, and I think this is a really interesting question. The thing about this is, right, and Luxon can't really deny this, if people had trust in you, if they felt confidence that you, Mr. Luxon, were going to have this shining light on the hill that was New Zealand, it was going to be the best little country in the world and you were going to turn it around, then they wouldn't be going anywhere. So what Jenny May is about to ask, which is the perfectly good question, is in 6 months, how is this country going to be any better to stop this flood of New Zealanders going off to Australia? And that's kind of where we pick up this conversation.
72,000 New Zealand citizens left the country last year. So I want to go back to that net migration loss, 47,100 New Zealand citizens. That was the largest on record in a calendar year. So what's going to change in the next 6 months that would convince people to stay here in Aotearoa?
Yeah, so when you look...
Now remember what she's asked is, she's asked for specifics. What's going to change? So what we want to hear from Mr. Luxon is some examples of the kinds of things that are going to change.
The number of Kiwi citizens coming in, Jenny May, from overseas, and then those that are leaving.
Sorry, but first he has to explain the numbers again. He's just doing that. That's what he's doing now. He's explaining the numbers.
Where you get to the net 47,000, up about 4,000 over the Labor government.
He literally said that exact thing a minute ago. He even said that up 4,000 from the last Labor government. So he just explained it again, just in case we didn't miss it from 60 seconds ago.
What we've got to do is, as I said, build the economy, rebuild the economy.
Yep.
But there are some really...
Yeah, that's a headline, build the economy. Examples, please.
Encouraging signs. If you think about it, just what we've started to see is, agriculture's doing well, tourism's doing well. For the first time, we've seen manufacturing grow.
Humanities and the arts, tourism, Chewie.
We've seen our services grow across our...
Yeah, but what's going to change? What's going to be different in 6 months? What you're saying is what's in the past. What's going to be new to keep people here?
Economy, which is all good. Now, that's all good signs because it means that there's more money coming into the system, more money being spent in our economy, which actually powers up jobs and puts money into people's pockets.
Oh, really?
Powers up jobs? Is that CEO speak sneaking in? Powers up jobs.
So good at this.
Powers up jobs.
So good at it.
You've seen mortgage rates, average mortgage rates fall for the first time over the last 2 months. You've actually started to see wages for the last 5 quarters being greater than the cost of things going.
Still looking for the examples of what's going to be different in 6 months. Like, you're talking about stuff now, and that's fine, but we want you to get to the question, which is what's going to be different. Like, talk about next, what's happening next.
Wages have been going up faster than inflation. So that's a good thing. That means net people actually have more money in their back pocket. But it is still tough. There is a real challenge around the cost of living. And that's why we've got to grow the economy so we can deal with the cost of living.
Did I miss the answer, Chewie?
No.
I was talking a bit there. Did he give some specific and exacting details about what would be different in 6 months? Or was it just word salad, word salad, word salad, word salad, finish? I mean...
You couldn't get away with this at school. Like if you're asked to do like a book report and you just randomly just spew nonsense, you'd be kept after school. Christopher, see me after school. You don't get to go home until you've answered the question. It's a pity that breakfast obviously can't do this. Like we're just going to keep on dumping segments and ad breaks until you fucking answer the question.
Yeah, give us some specifics about it. Maybe there's another question though. Let's see if it comes back to it.
And that's what we're focused on doing. Yeah,
and not only are Kiwis leaving, but immigration is also slowing. Right?
I wonder if Mr. Luxon could explain the numbers again now. That would be useful.
Right, so we had 133,000 people leave New Zealand last year. So even foreigners don't want to stay in this country. Is this a sign that New Zealand is becoming a less attractive place for people to live?
Yeah, Jenny, I'll just stay on the stats. There's 2 parts to, I think, in this conversation to keep in mind.
Explain
One
the
is
numbers.
Net migration, which is all the people coming in, the inflows, and all the people leaving. It was 127,000, very, very high. Too high, actually, for our infrastructure and for what we were needing.
Well, unless you did things like build hospitals and stuff, then it wouldn't be. That's the point. You're right, it is too high because no government, you guys included, have done anything for the last 20 years. If you had stayed on top of it and not done all these tax breaks and not had all the councils not raise rates, then we probably would have the infrastructure for it, but we don't. And that needs to be laid at the feet of all the politicians, all the political parties and all the councils.
Come back just to 27,000 what's called net migration. Then you're right, within the New Zealand citizens, the net number of citizens coming into the country, going out to the country is at 47,000.
I just want to say thanks to Christopher Luxon for explaining the numbers for at least a third time.
Up about 4,000 over the previous year.
4,000
so
again.
that's the...
Like he literally said 4,000 again, that he said 60 seconds ago and then 60 seconds before that.
Reality of it. We still need to make sure that we have good an ability to attract capital, great talent, great people that can come to New Zealand to do the jobs that we need to, that can add to New Zealand, that want to live here, that want to make a contribution. And I just say, I'm constantly inspired by our New Zealanders. I mean, they leave their countries, they leave their language, their family, their culture behind. They come to New Zealand and man, they work hard. They take one job, two jobs, three.
He's talking about refugees and he's saying they take one job, two jobs, three jobs. And he's saying that like it's a good thing. We played Bill Burr last night. They said, how fucking dare any economy have someone have a full-time job and then have to get another job just to pay for their existence. Mr. Luxon is literally... Mr. Luxon...
put two jobs. Uber Eats driver.
Put it this way. Refugees get taken advantage of in the workplace. Often language isn't the best. Often they don't know where to go to get advocacy. And what you're about to hear the Prime Minister of our country say, right, he's going to say this, is that these New Zealanders, he's talking about immigrants, he's talking about refugees, he's talking about people who aren't necessarily English speakers, coming in here and working three jobs. He's saying that's a good thing. This Prime Minister is saying new people to this country, aren't they fantastic? They're working three jobs. How is that anything but horrific? Just have a listen to what he says.
Zealanders. I mean, they leave their countries, they leave their language, their family, their culture behind.
Okay, so he's not talking about white Australians. They leave their family, their culture, their language. That's not someone from Bondi. That's someone from Malaysia or Bangkok or Mumbai, right? That's what he's talking about.
They come to New Zealand and man, they work hard. They take one job, two jobs, three jobs to get a deposit for a house or a business, and they work incredibly hard. They get their kids to school, they get them educated, so they're set up for a better future than themselves.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
A lot to New Zealand.
Don't be sorry.
And that's not what this conversation is about. The conversation is about migrant arrivals. These are Stats NZ stats. We're 177,900 people, right? But their departures were 133,000. So
I was just hoping maybe Luxon could explain the numbers one more time.
Yes, there's been a net migration gain of 30,600, but they're still leaving this country. Kiwis are leaving, migrants are leaving. So, is New Zealand becoming a place that people just don't want to live?
No, New Zealand's becoming a really attractive place in a world that's full of great uncertainty. But
right, that's gaslighting. That's like saying you've just been given the information that a huge number of people are leaving. And it seems like they're leaving because they don't want to be here. Is that right? And he's basically saying, no, all those people who left want to be here. This is gaslighting. This is him getting the facts and then saying white is black or wet is dry. It's literal the definition of gaslighting. Jenny May's just explained again the numbers, and hopefully Luxon will explain it for a fifth time to us, and said because all these people are leaving, it looks like that people don't want to be here. Is that right? And he says no, they want to be here. Then why are they leaving, Mr. Luxon, if they want to be here?
I think the other great comment there is people are attracted to coming here, not because New Zealand is a great place to live, but because the rest of the world is going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Like he's not talking about our wages are really strong. Like you talk to anybody in whatever industry you work in, whatever field you work in, compare what you get paid to do that overseas. That's why our nurses are leaving. That's why our cops are leaving. That's why our tradies are leaving. Why our engineers are leaving. Like, last one out, turn out the light. Why would you become a junior doctor in this country? I see the police are recruiting. Why would you become a policeman in this country when you know that the government is still stalling on their pay negotiations?
Mm-hmm.
People are coming here because where they're from is worse comparatively, not because we're a great place.
All right, let's go. Let's get to the end. We'll try and get to the end of this. I mean, I don't know if I can possibly let Luxon have any more than 30 seconds at a time, but we'll give it a go.
Place that people just don't want to live.
Gaslight.
No, New Zealand's becoming a really attractive place in a world that's full of great
Except for all those people who have left it.
uncertainty, but you just
Who think Australia is more attractive.
always, Jenny May, just in terms of the numbers, you have always have inflows
Can
and
you explain the
outflows of
numbers?
people coming and going into any country. What we're doing is making sure that we are a very attractive place. If you've looked at what we've done recently around, say, investor settings, you know.
I mean, this is a hard. I've worked in breakfast radio behind the scenes, having to organise interviews. It's kind of hard. They have a really limited time. But the obvious question here for the host is, if it's such an attractive place to be, Mr. Luxon, why are so many people leaving? That's it. And then get the answer, which will be some kind of word salad.
Actual people who want to come to New Zealand, invest and partner with a New Zealand company, we've made that much easier than it is in the UK or Australia to
Where that didn't work in Australia and it was selling retirement, basically.
do something similar. We've got fantastic talent that wants to come to New Zealand, invest in New Zealand, and actually be part of our country, and that's an awesome thing. So, yeah, we've got, but as I said, the work really is that we've got to lay up.
Notice the hiccup, you know, when he stumbles, what it means? It means he's lying. Something's about to come out that's bullshit.
A future for our kids and our grandkids where they actually say, if I work hard, I can get ahead and do well for myself. I can actually walk safely around my business, my community, my home, and know that I'm going to be
tough on crime.
You know, law and order's under control. I need to know my kids are going to get a good education relative to what they see in Australia or Singapore or Canada or somewhere else in the world. And I need to know that my parents and my...
Does that mean they're going to start funding schools here like they do in those countries as well? Paying teachers like they do in those countries as well? Whereas what he's saying
we don't make those comparisons, Pat. We don't.
We're going to treat our education staffing far worse in those countries, but we're going to expect them to get the same results. I know I've told you this story before, but I remember a radio boss of mine in Tauranga used David Letterman as an example of doing prep. And he was like, you know, you should be prepping like David Letterman. And I just looked at him, and he was my senior. In a polite way, I said, well, when you give me 22 writers like David Letterman's got, then I'll give you the same output that David Letterman does. I think that's fair. And that's what he's saying. We're going to treat our guys far worse in those countries, but we are going to crack down on them. We're going to break their backs to make sure that they produce exactly the same. It doesn't work that way, Mr. Luxon.
Are going to get access to timely quality healthcare. So that's the work of the government. And that's why you've heard me say since I've come here from day one, we have to rebuild the economy to lower the cost of living. We have to have law and order. And we have to have better public services and health and education.
Better public services, true. That's why we're getting rid of all those backroom people that are impacting the front line. I've got one more clip to play you. What I've done is I've actually taken him repeating himself those 4 or 5 times and just put them back to show people in case you missed it. But before I do that, Chewie, have at it, sir.
Laser focused on the cost of living.
Yep.
Prices coming down.
Yep. Downward
Monthly
pressure
food
on rent.
price rise, largest since 2022. It's gone up 3%.
Yeah.
And the concerning thing is it's all on staples. It's all on those core things we need. It's not luxuries. It's the stuff that they track for the CPI, stuff like bread, milk, you know, all of that sort of stuff. It's all gone up.
And so, you know why? Do you know
these
why?
guys, because they're full of shit, Pat.
I can tell. Actually, Luxon told us why.
They don't know how to fix this.
But Luxon told us it's because of bad economic mismanagement. That's why it is. So he's told us. He's been honest with us.
It is so clear, and it is clear every time they roll out a new policy, every time they make a cut, every time they blame someone else. These guys use words like they don't matter, that they don't mean anything. They'll just hit their buzzwords. Please don't look this up. Please don't Google what I'm saying. Like, they don't have any chance to do that on breakfast. There's not enough journalists left to check this fire hose of gaslighting that we just saw.
Yeah, gaslighting is the right word. Really is.
They should hire journalism students and put them in the studios with a laptop, and the moment that they prove that a statement the Prime Minister said was wrong, it's a race. The first person to throw their MacBook at the Prime Minister wins. Like he should be. I better not say that statement because I'll cop a laptop to the face. Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we bringing that energy into the press room? Jack Tame, you can use that idea.
And if you'd like to
make a big deal out of it.
Throw a laptop at the Prime Minister, what you could do is you could visit bhnshop.nz and get some stickers.
First person to hit the Prime Minister with a BHN branded laptop wins a free beanie.
Do you like that one there? I got that from Waitangi. That's Greenpeace. Stop Luxon's war on nature. And look at that one. You know that one. Your missus might have done that. Did she do that one?
That's my face.
No, the one above it, top right. That's from the bowling green.
It is from the bowling club. No, I don't think Claire did that.
Sorry, I'm a capitalist, I guess. Listen, I want to show you this as well.
You were so excited about that. I think you missed my legally binding statement there. First person to hit the Prime Minister with a
No. Not because I disagree with you, because we don't have beanies. So I can't do that. Sorry. No.
I'm more forcing the issue that winter is coming and we need to do beanies.
Winter is coming. Okay, I want to play you this. You've just seen all of this, but I just want to emphasize, sometimes when you hear things and you go, okay, this is the new narrative from the ninth floor. We'll tell you what it is when we see it. This is in the space of a 6-minute conversation, right? So many things are very similar, including the 4,000 Labour. Have a listen to it. This is 60 seconds out of 6 minutes where he says the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, what's happened is net migration's actually come down from 128,000 down to just 27,000. So that's all the people coming into the country versus those that are leaving the country. But you're right, within the New Zealand citizens, it's gone from about 43,000 under the last government to about 47,000 under our government. Yeah, so when you look at the number of Kiwi citizens coming in, Jenny May, from overseas, and then those that are leaving, that's where you get to the net 47,000, up about 4,000 over the Labour government. Yeah, Jenny May, just stay on the stats. There's two parts to, I think, in this conversation to keep in mind. One is net migration, which is all the people coming in, the inflows, and all the people leaving, was 127,000, very, very high, too high actually for our infrastructure and for what we were needing. That's come back just to 27,000, what's called net migration. Then you're right, within the New Zealand citizens, the net number of citizens coming into the country, going out to the country is at 47,000, up about 4,000 over the previous year. No, New Zealand's becoming a really attractive place in a world that's full of great uncertainty, but you just always, Jenny May, just in terms of the numbers, you always have inflows and outflows of people coming and going into any country.
I mean, I actually don't even know why he would repeat that. Like 3 times, it was basically exactly the same script, 47,000 up 4,000 from Labour. I don't know why he would do that 3 times in the space of about 5 minutes. I do genuinely wonder if he's like, I don't want to talk very much today. I don't want to be challenged, so I'm going to use 90 seconds up saying the literal same thing again. And it's weird. And it's patronizing because you can cover off that thing in the first 8 seconds of the interview and then move on. But he kept coming back to it. And even though he came back to it, it was like he was still saying, yeah, we're 4,000 worse off than Labour. But I'm really confused as to whose idea that was. It's not a coincidence. Someone's decided that and why. It's very bizarre.
Yeah. No, it's baffling. I hate hearing him use these tactics that have obviously been workshopped, and they put them out there and they're like, look, just do this again and again and again and again. Don't let them push you off your path. And I think this is the thing that grates people, like the grates normal people when they see him, but it works for him in some other ways. They know that if this gets clipped down and used in another story, if he keeps on repeating those same talking points, then he will get those talking points in a clip. But when you sit down and you watch the whole thing, you just feel like you're banging your head on a kitchen counter. It's madness.
Yeah. It's bizarre. I think you're probably right. I think like at the start of the conversation, they probably went, but see, even that confuses me because he's still saying it's 4,000 more than Labour. So what is he trying to say? It's not that big. It's only 4,000 more. Or what is he, it's like, it's not a blame Labour, but he repeated it 3 times, that number 4,000. And then the last time it was more like just a lesson on what net meant. So yeah, it's bizarre. If Because what I'm saying is I don't disagree with you, but then if he's making sure he repeats the message he wants to go out, why would he want to go out highlighting that that's 4,000 more than under Labor? You know what I mean? Like that's not a good result for them. It's just I have no idea. Have no idea whatsoever.
It's strange, and I think it's just very clear that they don't know what they're doing.